listening to WMNF Tampa, Music and News.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Giles Snyder. Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen is demanding that the Trump administration bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back to the U.S.
They've been ordered by the Supreme Court to facilitate his return. So the folks who are fools and the folks who are thumbing their nose at the Constitution are President Trump and his administration.
Van Hollen speaking to NPR's Weekend Edition this morning after meeting with Abrego Garcia in El Salvador. The administration has admitted that it made a mistake but has no plans to return him. Violent storms have prompted tornado warnings rolled through the central U.S. last night. Parts of central and southern Oklahoma were hit with flash flooding. 2 people reported dead in the city of Moore, Oklahoma, and local media are reporting on storm damage in the town of Ada. Thousands of protesters were back on the streets across the country this weekend demonstrating against the Trump administration. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, people are feeling the effects of major changes to the federal government, as Elizabeth Caldwell of member station KWGS reports.
More than 200 people gathered at a busy Tulsa intersection to protest everything from the crashing of the stock market to Social Security cuts. April Nesbitt is a biology professor at East Central University. She drove more than 2 hours from Ada because a federally funded internship program was eliminated for her science students.
Some of them have worked on cancer meds. Some of them have worked on disease studies. It has to be healthcare related. Everything is healthcare related. I've had students who worked on antibiotics and discovering novel antibiotics.
Nesbitt says the students will have to find other jobs for the summer, which will most likely not be focused on science. For NPR News, I'm Elizabeth Caldwell.
Now to the Vatican, where Pope Francis greeted thousands in St. Peter's Square this Easter Sunday, though he did not lead Mass as he recovers from pneumonia. Reporter Megan Williams is at the Vatican.
From the balcony above a flower-filled St. Peter's Square, a frail Pope Francis greeted thousands.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buona Pasqua.
Though too weak to lead Mass or deliver his Urbi et Orbi, the traditional address to Rome and to the world, it called for a Gaza ceasefire, food for the starving, the release of Israeli hostages, and peace in Ukraine, Sudan, and the Congo. After 5 weeks in hospital, the 88-year-old Pope is still recovering. But Vatican observer Christopher White says
he's always tried to be close to the people, and even as a very sick and recovering Pope, he's doing that today.
After the service, Francis greeted crowds from his Pope-mobile. For NPR News, I'm Megan Williams at the Vatican.
And you're listening to NPR News. NASA's oldest serving astronaut is back on Earth.
And touchdown. Soyuz MS-26 is home at 8:20 p.m. Central Time.
A NASA commentator marking the moment when the Soyuz spacecraft carrying Don Pettit touched down in Kazakhstan early this morning. Pettit returned to Earth on his 70th birthday alongside 2 Russian cosmonauts. NASA says Pettit and his Russian crewmate spent 220 days aboard the space station, orbiting the Earth more than 3,500 times. It was Pettit's 4th space mission. Following medical checks, NASA is to fly Pettit to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Actor and musician Jack Black has made British pop history of a sort, as Vicky Barker reports from London.
As the character Steve in the video game spin-off film A Minecraft Movie, Jack Black sings the praises of chicken cooked in molten lava as he shows the other protagonists around the alternate universe, the Overworld.
Lava attack!
And now the jingle has become the shortest ever single to reach the UK Top 40. At 34 seconds, it beats the previous record holder by 2 seconds. When it comes to pint-sized pop hits, Black has form, as the Brits would say. Another song from a video game film spin-off, 2023's Peaches, reached number 28 in the UK, all 95 seconds of it. For NPR News, I'm Vicki Barker in London.
And I'm Giles Snyder. This is NPR News from Washington.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Jarl and Pamela Mohn, focusing on civil liberties, foster youth, public radio, and the arts. And the Public Welfare Foundation, committed to advancing transformative youth and criminal justice reforms.
This is WMNF Tampa, WMNF.org, Community Conscience Radio.
Join me late Sunday, early Monday for Body Rock with Mike B on WMNF 88.5 Tampa. The heavy metal disco train leaves the station at midnight for a 3-hour dark journey into the sonic underworld of alternative music. Body Rock with Mike B. Sunday, midnight, WMNF 88.5.
Greetings and salutations. It is I, DJ Spaceship. And if you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means your day is already off to a great start. But in case you've been under a rock, I am the new Friday morning host right here at 88.5 WMNF from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. with my co-host Nate Diggity Dog. So hey, let somebody know there's something new going on in the Bay right here at 88.5 WMNF.
Now you don't have to wait till 9 a.m. to hear Democracy Now! You can hear it every morning at 8 a.m. on our HD3 channel, The Source. You can hear it online at WMNF.org/listen. That's Democracy Now! Weekday mornings at 8 a.m. on WMNF's The Source, and 9 a.m. on our main channel. And it's replayed on The Source at 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon.
Jazz is alive at WMNF. Tune in Sunday evenings at 8 for Colors of Jazz at our new time, featuring new releases from new artists, old favorites, international jazz from Europe, Asia, and Canada, covering everything from big band swing to bop to fusion. We play it all, plus specials celebrating the music of giants like Ellington, Miles Davis, Pat Metheny, Quincy Jones, Chick Corea, even Frank Zappa. We play the music you'll hear no place else on the radio. Check out our interviews with local jazz musicians. Jazz is what America sounds like, and it's yours to listen to come Sunday evening. If you can't catch us live, play it back from the archives.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent. So I never really listened to what the president said because in general I believed that the general was politically dead. But he always seemed to know when the muscles were about to be flexed. Because I remember him saying something, mumbling something about a military-industrial complex. Americans no longer fight to keep their shores safe, just to keep the jobs going in the arms-making workplace. And then they pretend to be gripped by some sort of political reflex. But all they're doing is paying dues to the military-industrial complex. Military and the monetary. Military and the monetary. Military and the monetary. The military and the monetary get together whenever they think it's necessary. They turn our brothers and sisters into mercenaries. They are turning the planet to a cemetery. The military and the monetary use the media as intermediaries. They are determined to keep the citizens secondary. They make so many decisions that are arbitrary. We're marching behind the commander-in-chief who was standing under a spotlight shaking like a leaf. But the ship of state had landed on an economic reef. we knew he was going to bring us messages of grief. The military and the monetary were shielded by January and went storming into February. Brought us pot-bellied generals as luminaries. 2 weeks ago I hadn't heard the sumbitch, now all of a sudden he's legendary. They took the honor from the honorary, they took the dignity from the dignitaries, they took the secrets from the secretary, but they left the bitch an obituary. The military and the monetary, from thousands of miles away, there were some smart bombs, but there were some dumb ones as well. Scared the hell out of CNN in that Baghdad hotel. The military and the monetary, they get together whenever they think it's necessary. War in the desert sometimes sure is scary, but they beamed out the war to all their subsidiaries, tried to make so damn insane a worthy adversary, keeping the citizens secondary, scaring old folks into coronaries. The military and the monetary, from thousands of miles in the Saudi Arabian sanctuary, kept us all wondering if all of this was really truly necessary. We've got to work for peace. Peace ain't coming this way. If we only work for peace, if everyone believed in peace the way they say they do, we'd have peace. The only thing wrong with peace is that you can't make no money from it. The military and the monetary, they get together whenever they think it's necessary. They've turned our brothers and sisters into mercenaries. They are turning the planet into a cemetery. We've got to work for peace. Peace ain't coming this way. We should not allow ourselves to be misled by talk of entering a time of peace. Peace is not the absence of war, it is the absence of the rumors of war and the threats of war and the preparation for war. Peace is not the absence of war, it is a time when we will all bring ourselves closer to each other, closer to building a structure that is unique within ourselves because we have finally come to peace within ourselves. Military and the monetary. Military and the monetary. Military and the monetary. Get together whenever they think it's necessary. They have turned our brothers and sisters into mercenaries. They are turning parts of the planet into a cemetery. What you gonna do? Military and the monetary. Military and the monetary. Say what you gonna do? We hounded the Ayatollah religiously, bombed Libya and killed Gaddafi's son hideously. We turned our back on our allies, the Panamanians, and saw Ali North selling guns to the Iranians. Watched Gorbachev slaughtering the Lithuanians. We better warn the Amish, they may bomb the Pennsylvanians. The military, the monetary, get together whenever they think it's necessary. They have turned our brothers and sisters into mercenaries. They are turning the planet into a cemetery. They got folks out there working for war. 2, 3, 4. Make a whole lot of money, start a little trouble, it's war. Turn this planet in the north and south, it's war. Start a few rumors over there, make money with a war. Peace. Say it to yourself. I believe we got to work for peace. Peace ain't gonna be free, you gotta work for peace. Do you believe in peace? Gotta go to work. They got folks out there working for war. Start a little trouble over here, what you got is a war. Turn these folks in the north and south, it's a war. Start a little trouble over here, what you got is a war. Tell everybody you know, we gotta work for peace. Gotta work, gotta work, believe in peace. Time to go to work. I don't want to sound like no late night commercial, but it's a matter of fact that there are thousands of children all over the world, in Asia and Africa and in South America, who need our help. When they start talking about 55 cents a day and 70 cents a day, I know a lot of folks feel as though that's not really any kind of contribution to make, but we had to give up $1.50 just to get in the subway nowadays. So this is a song about tomorrow and about how tomorrow can be better if we all, each one reach one, each one try to teach one. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit say work. Work for peace. You believe things you say.
gotta work.
That's right.
Hey.
A lot of people working for Walmart.
Work. Work, 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 work. Yeah. We believe in the groove right here on the Sunday Forum. We believe on getting that good groove going on. And when you have a groove, we have a groove for a purpose, baby, right here on the Sunday Forum. We don't play around. We do not play around right here.
No.
We get you moving your butt meat on the way to church. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that you hey, listen, man. We believe in separation of church and state. Right? We get it. We understand. And, but we try to put some soul into your drive on the way over there, right? For those of you who are going. Hey, listen. Yes. A Love Supreme. John Coltrane. Right here on the Sunday Forum. It's Jazz History Month, and we are certainly going to play some Coltrane. Can't let it go by without doing that. Sounds of John Coltrane, the late great John Coltrane. Oh man, listen, he's one of my favorites. My favorite will always be Roy Ayers, but man, no one does it like John Coltrane. No one did it like the man John Coltrane. Listen, I have collections of his music, and the best ones I ever heard were the ones with 1969 recordings at the Village Vanguard. Oh my gosh, John Coltrane was certainly the man, definitely. Listen to the instruments. Listen to the ferocious nature of the improvisation. Right? Oh wow. Yeah. It calls on revolution. It calls on change. It's on 1968, 1969. Listen, it calls on revolution, right? Yeah. I love supreme. I love supreme. I love supreme. I love supreme. Oh man. And what's great about this, Billy, is that even now, in with this being Jazz History Month, we pay tribute to our jazz musicians and artists out there. Robert Glasper is one of our younger members of the jazz community, and has done a tremendous job. He's been around for a while, but he's still considered to be young. Young Glasper is, but he's done a tremendous job out there in the music world. And we're glad to see him doing his work. As a matter of fact, he's done a remake of Love Supreme, right? His version of it, right? And he's done some others as well in collaboration with some other artists. But this one right here has been tremendous. Do we have that version of
Glasper's Love Supreme?
Yeah, let's hear that.
We could try to find it. Let's see. Robert Glasper.
As we hear on the Sunday Forum, it's 9:22 in the AM here on Sunday Forum on WMNF 88.5 Tampa, Sarasota, St. Pete. This is yours truly, Walter L. Smith II, the voice of the Tampa Bay area, in with Mabili and Miss Annie. And at this Jazz History Month, we are celebrating jazz history as we go on with other news and information. As we're talking about today also about the April 22nd and 23rd dates for the statewide community conference on environmental hazards that will take place right here in Tampa. It's the first of its kind, the first conference of its kind, where we have black communities and brown communities that are coming together, and the focus is on them and on the impacts in those communities. And we have people who are experts in the field, attorneys, lawyers, doctors. We have engineers, people like that will be present to help to look at and discuss these issues and stories that are taking place in these communities, look at how to resurrect these communities, how to fix what's happening, and to mobilize, and make the change that needs to be made in those communities throughout the state. So we're looking to hear from people, for people to be here during that time period from Pensacola, from Tallahassee, from West Palm Beach, from Sarasota, from Jacksonville, Orlando, Gainesville. We want to hear from you, and we're not going to hear from you today, I'm pretty sure, but I mean, we want you to be there, folks. We want you to be there, and if you're from here in the Tampa Bay area, you sure know that you have a story to tell here. So we want to see you there, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on both days, the 22nd and 23rd of April, which is Tuesday and Wednesday this week, at the Tampa River Center, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Get the address, Walter.
The address is 402 West Laurel Street, 402 West Laurel Street. Also, the other name of the location that people may know is the Julian B. Lane Park. The Julian B. Lane Park. Come check it out.
And I want to say for all our listeners, that will be something that you definitely want to come out. You don't want to miss. You can get the information and then take it back to your community and share it. That's what we all need to be doing. Speaking of the jazz, Coltrane, Davis, and all airs, let me tell you what the state of mind of our community and environment right now is. That type of music used to keep you calm, and you're able to listen as you're going through something. You throw you on some jazz and just relax, and it gives your mind a minute just to stop, just to stop, breathe, and just retake everything that's going on. And I say that real quick only because I don't know if you discussed this in the early part of the show before I got on, but I'm pretty sure we all heard about what happened at FSU, correct?
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this question. I want to put this to our audience as well, all right? I appreciate the fact that because of all these unnecessary and fast shootings that's been going on, they're now holding parents accountable. My question to the table is this, guys. So you do know that the shooter was the son of a sheriff, okay?
Yes.
The shooter not only was the son of a sheriff, the sheriff has been in her position, I believe, over 18 years. Now, let's think back for a moment of when they first started holding the parents accountable. You know, the first one was the husband and wife because the child got the gun, went to school, what have you, you know, and they held them accountable. Why are we, or will they hold the sheriff accountable? Because your son was raised in a household of knowing the laws. You, the sheriff, because he did that, he shot them with one of her old revolvers. Okay, it was her gun. Why was it not locked up, Walter? Why did he have access to that mobility when you know the law, right? How was he able to get her weapon to have that happen in that school? That those 2 children lost their lives, the other 4 was injured. But how was that possible? So if you're going to put a law in place and you're going to hold the parents accountable, should that sheriff be held accountable, guys?
Clearly.
Think about it.
Well, I think there is a level of responsibility, definitely. But keep in mind the shooter was an adult as well. And, you know...
And it was her gun.
It was her gun, yeah. It was definitely her gun. No question. Yeah. But I don't think the shooter, the jury's still out on a couple of things. One thing that we don't know is we don't know if there's a history of doing this type of thing. I don't know that there's a history. Nobody knows. We don't know that yet.
No, only thing they did report was that he attended a lot of the sheriff events and stuff like that they did with the academy. One of his friends that knew him as well, she spoke about it as well. She was like, you know, we went to these events and everything together. You know, and he seemed like a quiet person. I never would have thought, you know, this would be this person that would do something like that. Right. But when you say he was an adult, wasn't he a student at USF? How old was he? I mean, FSU. Excuse me.
I'm not sure.
He had to be under 21, most likely.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. So he wasn't an adult. If he was a student, well, he could be over 21 if he is FSU too, I believe. But,
yeah.
But my thing is this: he still should not have had access.
He was 20 years old.
He was 20 years old.
He's 20 years old.
He still should not have had access. Keep in mind the reason they prosecuted those other families, those other parents, was because they're saying that, it should have been locked up. You should have taken these type of precautions. This ABCD should have been done. Well, this is a sheriff's son who knows those same rules, and this sheriff obviously know it, you know, because that's what they said. She's been an exemplary sheriff for the past 18 years. Right. Okay.
And so that was Michigan, where the parents were held accountable, right? But Michigan is a far better progressive state than Florida. And I think at a time when this governor has been trying to lower the age for carrying a gun back to 18 after Parkland, and a lot of people at Parkland are now at FSU. And the idea that he would try to roll that back in the face of what happened at Parkland, makes me believe that he's not going to hold this Florida sheriff accountable.
Yeah.
But he should, because, like I said, the parents in Michigan were held accountable simply because they didn't secure the weapon and they knew about the child's mental health. Well, this sheriff mother should have known about whatever problems her son was having.
That's right.
So, I don't think there's a way around it if you're going to be fair, unless you just say, well, this isn't Michigan, this is Florida. But if you're going to be fair, if you're going to make a change that's going to be enduring and lasting, then, you need to hold some of these parents accountable, especially a sheriff who should be about securing her weapon. I don't care how old her child is.
That part right there. And that's the whole foundation why I'm saying that. You are a sheriff for 18 years. Why was that gun not secured? How and why did he have access to it? And if you say you had it locked up, then why does he have a key? Does he know to go get the gun? I mean, you really have to think about all these things. And then they're saying to us that he attended so many of these events, within the sheriff's department that they were having. Okay. So was there any sign, like I said, the mental illness, that she should have seen that or she should have known that? And she did. Again, she's still held accountable because you know the law. You deal with this every day. Right. You deal with this every day. So why should you not be held accountable? If I was a parent, one of those children, that's what I would be feeling, and I'm feeling that for them. Because had you done your part, my son or my daughter would be here right now. Had you done your part, my other son and daughter may not be injured, or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we have to look at that, because again, is it a even justice field? No, it is not. So if they held those parents accountable, why would they not hold her accountable? That's just how I feel about it. So I just want to bring that to the table, to our audience and everything, and see how you guys felt about it.
Yeah. Definitely. There's some serious issues to be considered here. And we need to make sure that we take all into consideration, especially his mental health. It says that he has both developmental delays and special needs, but I don't know what that means. That's very broad terms.
But he needs some kind of help. But do we want a half-cooked brain under 21 carrying a gun in Florida anyways?
You don't need that.
Exactly.
Don't need that.
Yeah. So wait, so they actually admitted that he did have some mental issues?
Well, I don't know if those are mental issues necessarily.
What was the
It's
exact
both
words that they
developmental
used?
delays and special needs.
Developmental delays.
So we don't know. Those are very ambiguous terms. We don't know what that means.
But we do know that he's not capable of making decisions by himself independently all the time, especially when it comes to a tool that can cause so much
he had no business with that. Absolutely.
And he should have had no access to it. That's my point. Right. He should not have had any access to that. Whatever developmental issues he may have had, whatever vague language they want to use to try to make it go towards mental illness, which is an insult to those that actually are going through that. He still should not have had any access to it whatsoever. So, yes, she should be held accountable for that. Yes. But I just wanted to, like I said, thinking of the jazz and, when you're listening to things like this, you have to find yourself in a peaceful place to kind of like just play it all out and look at it from all angles. I don't have tunnel vision or anything, but jazz makes me feel nice and calm when I'm looking at that, especially when I'm watching water as well. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention to go back into the segue of saying how smooth jazz can really kind of ease your mind and put you at peace. That's all.
You could also, I didn't know this, but there was also a case in Georgia, apparently, where the father was held accountable. So Georgia's more closely related to Florida. Maybe if you put it in front of a jury, this sheriff is going to be held accountable.
That's right.
Yep. All right, folks. We're back again. It's 9:32 in the a.m. This Resurrection Sunday. Those are the sounds of Robert Glasper that we just heard. As we were looking at his version of Love Supreme. Very well done. Robert Glasper is an excellent artist. If you listen to this song that's playing right now, for instance.
And we did get some emails. Walter, one emailer wanted to know who was before John Coltrane. I believe that was Work for Peace by Gil Scott-Heron.
Gil Scott-Heron, yeah.
And we had another emailer that wrote, noise pollution can be just as detrimental, but he also said peace can be profitable. So I like that.
I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah, definitely. Call in, folks, 813-239-9663, 813-239-9663 here on the Sunday Forum. And we're going to talk about resurrecting our communities in the face of environmental hazards that we've been plagued with. One of the things that we want to keep in mind is when we look at environmental issues, we need to consider the issue of sustainability. What is sustainability? And by definition, sustainability is based at its core on a three-tier concept, right? Which is economics, the environment, and social equity, right? So what does that mean? So when we talk about the environment as a whole and sustainability is at its core, can we maintain the environmental standards that need to be maintained for our community to thrive? That's the question. That is the issue. Can we maintain the standards that need to be maintained, or these 3 points, in order for our environment to survive, hence sustainability, right? We need to build resilience. We need to have equal access to jobs and things of that nature. And we need to have social equity. And that means making sure that the infrastructure in one community is the same infrastructure that you would get in another. So the access to funds, access to to means is very important, right? How do you do that? You do that by having policies in place, right, that help to establish the social, economic, and environmental standards that need to be in place for that sustainability to happen. And if at any point any of those things are missing, that is a problem. The house then begins to crack at its foundation. Now, let's look at a couple of things that have happened. We look at these communities, right? And we look at black communities. We look at communities that primarily were redlined, were designed to fail, were left with no infrastructure, quite often with very little infrastructure, if any at all. And where you look at places like what we call the bottom here in Tampa, for instance, right, where it was designed for the wastewater and stormwater to run off into that area, right? And that's where they put black folks. And so there, again, those communities are not designed to thrive. They're not designed to last. So people just kind of make do with whatever they get. And so the mentality, it affects the mentality of the people who are living there to the point that they feel worthless. They feel they are worthless. And so there's a need then for those people to rise up and to do for themselves. So we learned to build houses that could last. We would learn to buy property and to mitigate it ourselves. But a lot of times we bought property and didn't know that it needed mitigation. Hence, houses that were sinking to the ground, that cracked foundations, that had cracked foundations. You have mining operations that are nearby, like in Plant City and what they call Lincoln Gardens, where the black community is right there next to the Coronet mine, right there in that area. And so any pollutants and things of that nature will likely affect the people nearby, right? So here's that industrialized operation that I keep talking about. It's right next door. There's no buffer between the two. It's right there, right? And when we look at Port St. Joe, for instance, let's go north of Port St. Joe. We have a brother that's coming down named Danny Bolden. Danny Bolden is going to discuss with us about what's happened in Port St. Joe. And there are a lot of things that happen in there. It's experienced all types of water and land contamination issues that came basically from the paper mill, as I spoke of earlier, right? And the contaminants from the paper mill were things like heavy metals, PCBs, right? Polychlorinated biphenyls is what PCBs are, right? And so a series of these contaminants are getting into groundwater that burn. You have things that burn and get into the air, right? The particulates get into the air, and we inhale this stuff so much so that it creates nerve issues, right? Neurological issues. It causes respiratory issues. It creates cancer, right? You ingest enough of it.
So that's why I can't understand why, if you can't get people who are affected together to show and prove what has happened to them and then find redress in the courts. And I don't know what makes the case for that if you can't look at what's happening to actual people.
Well, exactly. And so you have these local governments that sweep it under the rug because they don't want to be responsible for it. They don't want to be responsible for it because that would mean reparations of some sort, right? That's too much like the right thing. Way too much like the right thing. I mean, you're talking about heavy metals, man. That's radioactive stuff.
Right?
Heavy metals, polychlorinated biphenyls are horrible type things. Dioxins. They have a place over there called Dioxin Hill.
It's not funny, but
yeah, I mean, it's literally called Dioxin Hill.
So that means somebody know what's going on.
Yes. Microbial contaminants in there. Right there at Port St. Joe's water. The Gulf Water Department identified microbial contaminants in the city of Port St. Joe's water. The turbidity of the runoff comes from soil runoff, right? That comes from a different area is identified as a factor contributing to the turbidity to the water. Drinking water contaminants are excessive. Just in tap water alone. I mean, what do we, So why is there this argument why is there an argument at all?
Right.
These are things from the past that are still going on now. I mean, this is ridiculous. Right? Am I right about this? I mean, at what point then, so here's where we ask the question, folks. Call in 813-239-9663. At what point, black folks, do we take a step in the direction of being in the front line of our own fight for our communities? If you are from Tampa, you know what happened. You know that your house was probably built on top of a landfill.
If it's your house.
If it's your house. It's right here in East Tampa, right? I would sit there and listen to old folks I listen to the stories, and they're telling me I remember it because it was right here. They took me to where it was, and there's no record of mitigation. I researched it. There's no record of mitigation in those areas.
But you see, they're not going to, you say politicians sweep it under the rug. They're not going to talk about it before an election. And after they get elected, they don't care because the people who paid for their campaigns most likely aren't these people who live in these neighborhoods. So it begs the question, what people can really realistically do, especially black folks. And if you are living in a house that you're renting from some absentee landlord, or if a house is empty because there's an absentee landlord, then what do you do about that? You know what I'm saying? So
that's right.
People are powerless in that sense. They want something to happen, but outside of a lawsuit, what can they do?
Well, one of the things that can happen is you can come to this conference, and you can figure it out. We can sit there and we can figure it out because we're going to have the professionals there.
Okay, yeah.
The professionals are going to be there to discuss it. Yeah, and it ain't just be on powwow. You're actually going to listen to the stories and be able to discuss the different nuances to those stories that will be able to take them and say, okay, now the way to mobilize in that situation is this, right? And then you have people in other places that you can mingle with to say, okay, can we create an organization or can we have a collaboration since Pensacola is so close to Port St. Joe? Can we talk? Can we work together? Because listen, in Pensacola, for instance, right, from 1942 to 1982, right, in Pensacola, where the Escambia Wood Treating Company was located, right, they have a place called Mount Dioxin. I was just mentioning it. Mount Dioxin, okay? Pensacola. The company created power poles, right? And the other wood products that the power poles are attached to, right? And they're coated with creosote and PCBs in order to make them last. Right. To make them pressure treated and everything, right? So the managers were, and this is what the article says, the managers were white, the workers were black. A lot of the workers lived in homes around the site where all these toxic chemicals were winding up in the soil and water. It's the same thing. Now, take this same thing and you can parallel that to Plant City. In Plant City, next to Coronet Mines, you have Lincoln Gardens. Where is that? Directly next to Coronet Mines.
But if you're talking about people, especially black people, having to make a choice between getting that job and getting a home,
yes,
they're gonna get the job in the home.
Exactly, and they're gonna do what it takes to do that. But they take advantage. The powers that be take advantage of the fact that that's the case.
Yeah.
Yes, they were redlined to live there for the longest time of all. That was the law.
Yep.
That was the law. So now the law now has changed. So what kind of reparation do you have for that? Because these people are dead, dying, or sick.
But the law has changed, but capital didn't. You know, and these politicians are not going to go after capital if it means financing their campaigns. So I think, it used to be a time when I first moved to Florida back in the 80s that you violated the third rail and you violated the possibility of getting reelected if you didn't do anything to address environmental issues in Florida. That's all changed. It's a red state, and the redder it became, the more capital intensive it became, the more you protected corporations, no matter what kind of damage they did, and the people be damned.
But now listen to this. Now this is important. When the EPA discovered the toxic waste, the agency did in the same place, right? This Mount Dioxin in Escambia County in Pensacola. When the EPA discovered the toxic waste, the agency didn't bother to meet with the black neighbors. Instead, it sent cleanup crews in moon suits.
Right. Which probably scared the people.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm sure. To excavate the waste, even as kids played just outside the fence. Just outside the fence.
Well, kids don't care, but...
Okay, so now watch this. Watch this. Let's go down further. It says, the recklessness would not have occurred in a non-minority or wealthy neighborhood, one local activist commented. Now, watch this. In the people in the community began pushing the EPA to buy houses around the site and to move everyone to safety, persuading the agency to do that took 5 years. In 1997, the EPA finally agreed to relocate 400 households from around the site. Most had moved by 2001. That's how Mount Dioxin became what the Pensacola News Journal called the third largest permanent Superfund relocation in U.S. history.
Permanent, so that means it probably can never be cleaned.
Okay? So that's, so you're moving people away from the red line, the area that was redlined. That they were the ones that lived around the contamination because they were forced to live around the contamination, while the white workers lived away from the contamination. You get what I'm saying? And that's what we're seeing in these situations. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're not paying attention to it, the bullet will hit you. No, that's the best. That's the best way I can probably say. Yeah. You're in the crosshairs. And the gun is right there at your head. Are you gonna move or just sit there and let the bullet hit you?
Well, it depends on whether or not they see the bullet coming, because people have
don't see the bullet coming.
They have more immediate issues that are on their minds. I think we do have a call though.
Yeah, let's get it.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the Sunday Forum.
Good morning.
Grand
Rising.
Grand Rising.
All right, what's going on, brother?
Yes, sir. It's the Easter Sunday morning, as they say. It's in the east. The sun is in the east, and we rising with Ra, so sunrise.
All right.
And power to the people, but I had some observations. I'm enjoying the conversation, and Mobile analysis of what really goes on is pretty accurate, because just way back as a kid, I used to say this, they come through our community. I don't know about anybody else's community, but they spray this stuff to kill the mosquitoes. And we was on TV, they used to drop it out the airplanes. It got so bad they had to stop because it was killing the foliage and the vegetation. I was going for the same thing, and it was affecting aquatic life. So, it's a lot of stuff being done, and like I told my kids, and I tell you and anybody else, we're just a big experiment anyway. They take and they run these cohort. I've been a part of a cohort study since I was a child. I already know this. I accepted it because it's too much scrutiny for one person. You know what I'm saying? It's too much scrutiny for one group. So that's how you know if you're targeted. And so there's things that I think that are positive for a community. As I travel, I see people, they get together and they create stuff. They make stuff and they make wares and they sell them and push them in like their own products aside from the commercial products. You see what I'm saying? Right. And that in itself, it creates some wealth. It creates some camaraderie. It creates some belief and some positivity amongst people instead of the divisive stuff and the steady me versus you. This competition. We all on the planet, and I watched, show you a good example, Naked and Afraid. They start out with 3 or 4 people, and you wind up with one person that could survive, but they all want to make it, to the end. But it's not possible because some people can't, and then they hate it because if you're by yourself, you hate it. They show it. I hate this. I'm by myself. I want it to be with the people, even if they're not what I like or nothing. So being alone is not a good place, or as they say at the top, is lonely. See, same thing.
Right.
So they create all this, but we got to break through the minutia by seeing that we're stronger. Like I say, the other communities, everywhere I go, they stick together. They have their wares. They have their products. And the best thing is to be organized. And like when I grew up, people will tell you that's riffraff, man, don't do that. Or they'll say, don't go over there. We don't mess with that. Or they ain't down, so don't mess with them. Whatever it is. But I'm not saying in a negative manner. We just know that they're doing more harm than good. And so that's what's been lost in our communities, the belief in ourselves and our abilities to create and make our own wealth with our own two hands, our own two eyes, our own 2 feet, and that two-sided brain that we have. Not that monotheistic, one-sided, two division stuff that they pushing down the pipeline.
Okay.
Because it's affecting too much stuff. I mean, you got the food affected, you got the water affected, you got the medical, affected. Everything's like commercial purposes, the products, and the dynamics are all the same. You can see that nobody is deviating, so that is a problem when they come to doing stuff. So, that's a whole nother subject, but I just leave it like that because I really enjoy what's going on, and I be contemplating because, hey, I got some stuff about that. My cousin also died from that contamination water in recently, Mobile in Paris Island. Yeah, it was linked. They said he was poisoned on his record. Yeah, poisoned his own people. My uncle, Agent Orange, poisoned own people. The people over here go against you. Supposed to be your own people. They'll kill your own people. You're not my people. So don't be playing games and get away from me with that. That's all negative eons and frequencies, and we don't allow that to come in. When you go to different areas, like you were saying, I get off quickly with your spouse, and I did it myself. I'm very sensitive. I can tell when something ain't right in the air. In the air, I'll be like, hey, this air ain't right. Hey, the ground don't feel right. I do. I really sense it. So you're supposed to be able to do that. That's part of your sensing. And yes, they contaminate all around us. It's so we're so inundated that I can run you through right where I live at. It's inundated. The people just don't suffer until they get to be brought out. And I think the other thing is that we could take analysis through statistics of the amount of cancers and diseases in certain areas and bring that to the table, like Mobile say. So they're not keeping up with that. They're not showing the number of people that's dying from the cancers and all that stuff that's caused by that poisonous water, the contaminated air, the food, and all this stuff. So, and it might be designated areas because a lot of the wealthy people have been buying organic and all of that, from other countries. Right. Where they take care of the food and stuff. So, yeah. But, yeah, and why we can't import from Jamaica or something? Why we can't do that? It's right there. They got good food and products, organic. They don't use herbicides, pesticides, or all that. They're totally conscious, man.
Right.
They're blocking all that, creating division, and we got to struggle against it. No, we're not struggling against this one nation under GOD. Don't tell me that one nation under a dog.
Right now we are.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I'll leave you guys there because the gals, y'all, kings and queens on top of this. And we have to bring it to reality because nobody want to look at the real picture. And that includes the churches could be doing this stuff. They already supposed to have the storehouses and stuff. They better get busy, create farms, and having the animals for the children to learn husbandry and veterinary and all that right in your community. Why we got to go out there? Why it's got to be way over there? What happened? Greed and the need to be greedy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the factors and thank you, man. Appreciate it, Ron. The factors that they talk about here that like in Jacksonville, for instance, right? The black communities have faced disproportionate exposure to environmental contaminants, right? And it refers to it as a phenomenon, often referred to as environmental racism. This has led to concentration of industrial facilities and waste sites in these areas, resulting in polluted soil, water, and air. The presence of hazardous materials. And when I used to go to Jacksonville as a kid to go to the football games, you drive over the bridge and go into downtown Jacksonville, and you could smell the contamination. You could smell it, right? And so some of that kind of died down as I got older, as the years passed. Because I think some of it became mitigated. But then you still had these issues that lingered in other communities, right? So you have industrial facilities and stuff that range from paper mills to the port, things like that were going on over there in the port. You have Superfund sites in the city of Jacksonville and Duval. There are numerous sites that are Superfund sites. right? And of course, one of the conditions that they look at is you have industrial facilities, Superfund sites, historical redlining, impact on health. And there are health impacts on these things, right? And community efforts are literally the efforts that need to be put together, synthesized, and perfected in order to mobilize people in the direction they need to go into. And it becomes difficult when you don't have a Congress. When I say a Congress, I'm not referring to D.C. Congress. What I'm referring to is a group of people that come together to actually meet throughout the state with the same issues. When you face these same issues, you now have a squad, if you will, right? A team that has been put together who have the same issues. And as we talked earlier, you just mentioned the fact that, people were focused in on other things. I can guarantee you that whatever those other things were, they were environmental too. I can guarantee you, and I can show you. Mm-hmm. I can show you specifically where it is, from housing to the food that people are eating, the access to equal economics, and the ability to use that economics to have good foods, to take combined economics, part of our Nguzo Saba, right? Mm. And use that principle in order to do it. Do co-ops and have good whole foods brought to our community. How do we do that? Right? Right. Those are things that need to be considered in order to resurrect our communities. So these are things to consider, things that can be done, but we're not doing it. Well, we see examples. We see examples of it being done, but we aren't doing it here in Tampa. I don't know what's going on, but we're just not doing it.
You need to constantly talk about the solutions like you did today. But I really like the idea of food from Jamaica. If we could engage in more shipping, get together economically with the Caribbean nations, especially Jamaica, and get better food here, that would be progress for certain, because I think they are, as Ron said, better taken care of and healthier.
Absolutely.
We need some healthy food in black communities.
That's right. And it's not something that can't be done. We have black farmers. Mm-hmm. I'm becoming one.
Yes, you are.
You're becoming one, aren't you?
I'm becoming one. But we chose to do it because we wanted to be part of the solution. Mm-hmm. Right. We wanted to lead by example.
Well, I think food insecurity is a good first step because that's going to make all the other issues more relevant and more in your face. And if you can equate it with food.
Absolutely.
I do want to say, for those that don't even have a home, that they say they have to have a house to plant a garden and things to that effect. Even if you're in an apartment, it's certain kind of fruits and vegetables that you can actually grow within your home. They first started with the tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. So I also, advise our listeners, if you live in an apartment, you're not excluded from starting your own garden.
That's right.
Just pull up the information and find out certain ones that you can actually grow within your home, that you can start making sure you're eating fresh vegetables and seasonings and things to that effect. So keep that in mind as well.
That's right. Well, listen, folks, April 22nd and April 23rd. April 22nd and April 23rd, this Tuesday and Wednesday, come out to the Tampa River Center, which is also Julian B. Lane Park, at 402 West Laurel Street. 402 West Laurel Street, to the first annual statewide community conference on environmental hazards. Statewide community conference on environmental hazards. Come out and be a part of the change. Listen, there are people out there. Don't tell me, well, I got work. When you will start to cough if I told you it was a cruise.
For free?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, come on, you'll find every reason to do it. Come on, y'all.
Give us free.
Give us free. It's free. Come on out. Learn about it. Do something about it. Hey, this is Walter Smith II, along with members of the Fourth Estate crew, saying, please, come on out, be a part of the change. Have a great, safe Easter. Coming up next is the post-Barton Hootenanny with my man Ed. And as always, from our voice to the area waves, to the hearts and minds of the people, we love you. And there's not a thing you can do about it here on the Sunday Forum. Peace to everybody out there.
Happy Easter. Blessings to her posterity. Enjoy, gentlemen.
WMNF Tampa.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm John